The moon cast an eerie glow through the dense canopy of ancient trees in the California woods. I was lost, disoriented, and terrified. You might know me as MrBeast from YouTube, but that night, I was just Jimmy, running for my life from a hitman who had been hired to end me. It all started with a cryptic email that had arrived in my inbox a week ago. It contained a simple, chilling message. "Your days are numbered, MrBeast." No name, no return address, just those words. I had always known that fame came with its own set of challenges, but this was on a whole new level. As a content creator, I had amassed millions of subscribers who loved my videos, but there were always those who resented my success. I never thought it would lead to someone wanting me dead. I had sought the help of the police, but they were unable to track down the mysterious sender. The threats grew more sinister, and I couldn't ignore them any longer. That fateful evening, I decided to go for a drive, thinking that the open road might clear my head. But it only led me deeper into a nightmarish situation. The hitman, a shadowy figure dressed in black, had been following me. He forced my car off the road, and as I stumbled out, I knew that my life was hanging by a thread. I dashed into the woods, my heart pounding like a drum. The hitman pursued me relentlessly, his footsteps echoing through the eerily silent forest. The twisted trees seemed to lean in closer, casting long, sinister shadows that danced with the moonlight. The hitman was getting closer, and I could hear his heavy breathing behind me. Panic coursed through my veins, and I pushed myself to the limit, running through the dense undergrowth, the thorns and branches clawing at my skin. I could feel the presence of death inching closer with every step. But just when I thought I was about to meet my end, I stumbled upon a small clearing. In the middle of it, there was an old, decrepit cabin, like something out of a horror movie. Desperation took over, and I burst inside, bolting the door behind me. The cabin smelled of mildew and rot, but it was a temporary sanctuary. I crouched in a corner, my mind racing for a way out. The hitman hammered on the door, his voice a sinister hiss, promising me that there was no escape. I knew he was right. I was trapped, with no way to defend myself. That's when I saw a glint of silver in the corner of the room. A dusty antique revolver lay on a dilapidated table. It was an unlikely savior, but I had no other options. My trembling hands reached for it, and I aimed it at the door, ready to fire if the hitman forced his way in. But the minutes dragged on, and the hitman didn't return. I didn't hear a sound from outside, only a deafening silence. I dared to peek through a cracked window and saw that the woods were empty. He had vanished. With caution, I left the cabin, determined to find my way back to civilization. The forest was no longer my enemy, and I navigated through the tangled underbrush, using the moon as my guide. Hours seemed like days as I walked in a daze, my mind racing with fear. Eventually, the woods began to thin, and I stumbled upon a road. My relief was palpable, but there was still a long journey ahead to reach the nearest town. That's when I saw the headlights of an approaching vehicle. I waved frantically, and as it slowed down, a sense of safety washed over me. The driver and his passengers, 3 burly men in worn clothing, welcomed me into their vehicle. They were a little rough around the edges, but offered me a ride to the nearest town in California. They didn't recognize me as MrBeast, and that was fine by me. I was just grateful for their help. As we drove through the darkened woods, they shared stories of the area, tales of mysterious happenings and lost souls. It felt like the perfect backdrop for a horror movie, and the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. But just when I began to relax, one of the men turned to me and said, "You know, we're not doing this out of the goodness of our hearts. There's a price for our help." The glint in his eye was unsettling. I didn't have to ask what he meant. In a tone dripping with menace, he continued, "We want $1 million, and we want it now." A chill ran down my spine. I was in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by strangers who seemed to have ulterior motives. My fame and fortune had put me in this precarious position, and now I had no choice but to negotiate for my life in exchange for $1 million. It was a plot twist that turned my night from a horrifying ordeal to a twisted game of survival. As the miles rolled on, the tension in the car mounted, and the woods seemed to close in around us, casting long, sinister shadows. I couldn't help but wonder if the hitman was still out there, lurking in the darkness, ready to strike at any moment. The night was far from over, and the darkness held secrets I could hardly fathom. What I had just witnessed. I stood there, shaken but unharmed, the $1 million now a distant memory. The night had begun with the threat of a hitman, then spiraled into a nightmarish ordeal in the woods. But it had taken a sudden, supernatural twist that had saved my life. As I made my way back to civilization, I couldn't help but wonder about the wolf and its origin. Was it a guardian spirit? A manifestation of the woods itself? I would never know, but I was left with a profound sense of gratitude for the unexpected savior. The night had been a chilling journey from fame to terror, from desperation to salvation. The woods, once a realm of darkness and danger, had revealed a force far more powerful than I could ever have imagined. The encounter had transformed the night into a supernatural revelation, and I was left in awe of the mysteries that lay hidden in the heart of the California woods. As the headlights of a passing car illuminated my path, I couldn't help but reflect on the night's incredible twist. The woods had been a place of fear and malevolence, but they had also shown me the astonishing depths of the unknown, and the night had ended with a wow moment that transcended the boundaries of reality and sent me on a journey into the uncharted territories of the supernatural. I will never forget the night when the woods, full of red shadows and secrets, had taken me from the brink of death to a supernatural encounter that defied explanation. It was a night that would forever linger in my memory, a tale of horror and wonder that would haunt my thoughts for years to come.